What's good, RIZZLE fam? It's your boy Big Man. High-speed chases, running away from cops, plotting murders, you name it. YSL gang is one vicious group of people that nobody wants to mess with. And as we know quite well, behind every powerful group of people, there's a leader who orchestrates the whole damn thing. In this case of Young Slime Life, it's believed that the person behind the scenes, pulling the strings, calling all the shots, is Young Thug. However, with the RICO indictment that came in not too long ago, everything changed. Now we got Thug's affiliates speaking up and letting the whole world know just how Thug and his gang made people disappear. Several music stars, including rappers Young Thug and Gunna, have been accused of crimes associated with a street gang called Young Slime Life, which is believed to have ties to the notorious crime group Bloods.
At Young Thug's mugshot, the Fulton County District Attorney claims the rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams Jr., is part of a gang that used violence, drugs, and even murder to make money.
This organization is alleged to have committed several murders, shootings, and carjackings over 10 years. In May, Gunna, Young Thug, and 26 other purported members were arrested for their involvement.
Now, this comes after the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis says Jeffrey Williams, also known as Young Thug,
Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, was accused of conspiring to violate Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corruption Organizations, or RICO, Act. Gunna has since pleaded guilty and received a 5-year jail sentence, with 1 year to be served in prison. However, since he has already served time, he'll be released. The remaining 4 years of his sentence have been suspended, but he'll be subjected to 500 hours of community service and other special conditions. And despite this guilty plea, Gunna maintains his innocence. Gunna and Thugger are far from being the only ones from YSL who were behind some scary criminal activity. In fact, most of the hardcore crimes were committed by other YSL members that were never under the media spotlight. One such name, even though familiar to the rap world, is Yak Gotti. DeMonte Kendrick, known by his stage name Yak Gotti, is among the 28 members of YSL who are facing racketeering charges in the RICO case against the collective led by Young Thug and Gunna. Yak and another YSL affiliate, Martinez Arnold, aka YSL Duke, were charged in the connection to the 2015 hit on Donovan Big Nut Thomas. They were allegedly caught traveling into a rival gang territory while armed with an AK-47 assault rifle and a .40 caliber handgun. Prosecutors at his bond hearing said that Yak previously pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, leading some to believe he had cooperated with investigators and snitched on old Duke. Prosecutors also objected to Gotti's release, claiming that he was a threat to potential witnesses. They pointed out Yak's criminal history, including his alleged involvement in the death of Big Nut. As expected, Yak Gotti was denying these allegations, that he's assisting the federal government in building this criminal case against Young Thug and the rest of the YSL crew. And despite all his efforts, Yak was denied this bond because he was caught using another inmate's illegally obtained cell phone to contact people outside of jail and instruct them to destroy other burner phones. Similar to Yak Gotti, YSL SB was also charged with the murder of Big Nut. However, it's believed that he was the guy that was behind the trigger when it comes to the murder of Big Nut in January 2015. Now, don't get it twisted. The guys who kicked it with Big Nut wanted revenge, and they for sure came for it. SB, his girlfriend at the time, and their friend were targeted by YSL ops. Even though SB and his girl made it out alive, their friend Tiara Jones, who was driving the car, well, she didn't make it. 1 month following the attempt at his life, SB would get arrested on homicide charges. And once he got arrested, he went on to say the nicknames of the people who he thought were behind the hit that almost took his life. That wasn't all. SB would go on to catch yet another body. He and another 3 dudes were behind the hit that took the life of an Inglewood family member, Chanel Drinks. SB is still behind bars to this day, and he is accused of murdering 2 other members in the Inglewood fam. At the end of the day, many believe that SB would eventually snitch on YSL members in order to reduce his own sentence. He already told 3 guys from the Inglewood side who wanted him gone. Many suspect that, because of that, he might be prone to telling on YSL as well. But SB wasn't alone in the trenches doing all the dirty work. With him was another YSL affiliate who goes by the name Quamarvius Nichols, aka Qua. Qua was arrested on March 17th in connection with the hit on Chanel Drinks that occurred on March 14th on Windsor Street in southwest Atlanta. He was the second person who was in the white Audi when the drive-by on Chanel took place. Qua was arrested before the RICO on YSL took place, but the murder charge wasn't his only one. He was also charged with possession of a firearm by a felon and possession during a commission.
He poses a wish to commit additional felonies pending trial. So for those reasons, I'm going to deny bond at this point in time.
He was arrested on multiple occasions before, and things were looking pretty grim for old Qua. Kind of like some other YSL members, he too was denied bond. The judge did not want him out of jail at all. We still don't know what's going to happen to Qua in the end, but the odds are not in his favor, to say the least. If he's found guilty, he might be in for a real long time. Miles Farley, who's alleged to be the creator of an Atlanta-based online clothing shop, Make America Slime Again, was named in an indictment along with Young Thug and other YSL associates. The indictment alleges that Lil Miles and 3 others who are already mentioned murdered Shamel Drinks. That's not all. Lil Miles is also facing charges of participating in a criminal street gang and possessing a gun. Even though many associate his clothing line as belonging to YSL, his attorney argued that Miles has, quote, nothing to do with YSL explicitly, end quote, and his clothing brand is not YSL apparel.
And again, Judge, it's not YSL apparel. That's the part that Don Geary left unanswered last time.
The state has accused Lil Miles of arranging to have a gun and a phone hidden, using jail phone calls as evidence. His attorney had called these allegations flatly false and accused federal investigators of falsely claiming to have confiscated a phone or gun as evidence. The state conceded that during this hearing that the investigator did not have possession of the phone and that he got facts wrong. Fulton County prosecutor said jail calls show Farley arranged to ensure we never found those items. But it should be noted that Lil Miles was given a bond, unlike other YSL affiliates who were mostly denied that bond, sometimes even more than once. Judge Glanville granted Lil Miles a bond of $650K, which would allow him some degree of freedom before his trial. The conditions of Farley's bond include wearing ankle and wrist monitors, staying off social media, and observing a 10 p.m. curfew. His trial date has not been set yet, but it was separated from the larger YSL case, which means that Miles will be tried as a single defendant for his charges. Many believe that Lil Miles got lucky because his lawyer did one hell of a job. His attorney made some pretty convincing arguments in front of the judge during the hearing. That Spanish attorney is the only one putting in work since I've been watching the hearing. The arguments from Aiden were very convincing. However, they will certainly fall upon the deaf ears of the judge, whose mind is already made up. One of the scariest YSL affiliates who completely went overboard is Christian Eppinger, aka Big Briss. The 22-year-old rapper known as Big Briss was arrested for shooting an Atlanta Police Department officer 6 times.
Prosecutors told the judge the man accused of shooting APD officer David Rogers is a well-documented street gang member.
He's now facing charges of attempted murder and street gang activity related to the shooting. The warrant states that Officer David Rogers was attempting to arrest Big Briss on an armed robbery warrant from 2021 when the shooting started. Officer Rogers was shot 4 times in the shoulder, 1 above his right knee, and 1 time in the back right of his head. According to the warrant, during the indictment, Briss allegedly pushed the officer, creating some distance between them, and when the officer attempted to use his taser, Briss drew out a burner, started shooting at him. After the incident, APD Chief Darren Shearbaum commented on Officer Rogers' condition, stating that he was a long road to recovery and that the department is committed to pursuing those who commit crimes like robberies, shootings, and murder in the city. In the media, Young Slime Life was described as a gang known for its ruthless pedestrian and home invasion-style robberies and drive-by shootings that result in death and serious injury. Christian Eppinger has been charged with attempted murder and street gang activity in relation to the shooting of Officer David Rogers. Briss was also facing charges related to an armed robbery warrant from 2021. He appeared in court and was denied bond due to the likelihood of reoffending and being a flight risk. And to nobody's surprise, his music videos were used against him in court. His music videos for Homicide and Murder on My Mind in particular. As the pace of the upcoming trials for the YSL crew is picking up pace, the conversation of who might be snitching is getting more and more interesting. It's already common knowledge that the judge and prosecutors want to cut off the head honcho from this entire operation. So in other words, they want to see Young Thug go down in flames. However, before someone from the YSL squad actually starts singing in front of the court, it's not so likely that they'll throw out a lot of dirt on him. His lawyers are ready for most of the arguments that prosecutors might see. But if someone snitches, well, there's not much that Thug or anyone else can do about it. But what y'all think is going to be the final outcome of this RICO trial for the YSL crew? Is Thugger going to get locked up for life, or are things going to start developing in a different way? Let us know what you think all about it down in the comments section below. You know the drill. Click that like, subscribe, and share button. And as always, remember to keep it RIZZLE.